Hello.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. Well, we took a little bit of a break last week. We're
Oh,
very busy week.
yeah. And why were we taking a break, Mom?
I traveled across the country to visit my son.
Aha.
It was very. It was my first time traveling since Thanksgiving, actually. So
Uh-huh.
I was very skeptical and kind of anxious about the trip. I had my full PPE on. I had the mask. I had the face shield. I had the hoodie up. I had my hands like this the entire time. Did try not to. I sat in rows that didn't have anyone in the middle seat, which was very comforting. But it was scary. It was a scary long four and
Huh.
a half 5 hour plane ride to LA. I
Mm.
think traveling under these conditions, a short flight would probably be a lot better in terms of my anxiety. But I had to do it. I had to go check in on him, make sure things were good, and he was doing his thing, and happy to
Uh-huh.
say it all worked out really well.
Okay.
So
All
I had
right.
to miss last week because of that, but we're back.
Yep,
We're,
we're back.
yes. How is it going up and down? Okay, all right. I'll get my other headphones. But for right now, let's talk a little bit about today's show.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
We
just
have a
we
really
just
cool show.
yeah.
What we talked about doing, and we're really happy to present a group of wonderful women, women of color, historic figures. Some I knew nothing about, some I um, had heard about. And so I've been researching for the past few weeks because we wanted to celebrate. It's women's celebrating Women's Month, and we just finished celebrating Black History Month. So we're going to celebrate some really cool women tonight, and so very proud of their history. So I'm really looking forward to presenting our video. So we made a little slideshow just to introduce these women. Some of them you might recognize, and if you have any that you think we didn't talk about tonight, put it on our Facebook page. Let's celebrate these wonderful women. Hope you enjoy our slideshow.
And Donna worked very hard on this slideshow. So kudos to you. But
Thank
here we
you.
go. Wow, excellent. Brings you to tears when you see these women and just how much. Donna, I think you're muted. Hold on 1 second. I think you're muted. Did you?
Oh,
There you go. There you go.
okay. So, Bessie Coleman, how cool is she? The first, Black women pilot. And there's one on there. Some of these were first for everyone.
Mhm.
I'm so proud of all of them. And what rich history.
Yes.
Harriet Tubman. I mean, if you don't admire her, I don't know who you would admire, because she, on a consistent basis, risked her life
Mhm.
13 times after she had her freedom from slavery.
Right.
She went back 13 times, not
Right.
2, not 3, 13 times to bring more people into freedom.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, I mean, how miraculous is that? And I was talking to Dania about this, and when I was researching her, I found a lot of photographs of her, and I found not one photograph of her smiling. Not one.
Mhm.
And I don't know
Why
what
do you
that
think
means.
that is? Yeah.
I don't know. What does it mean?
If you had to guess.
Yeah. I mean, I guess for me, because I tried to, I was looking at these different women and I was saying, I don't know if she was a solemn person or
Mhm.
it was the era or it was, I have no idea. I have no idea. What do you think?
Well, I probably would just guess to say a lot of the photos that were taken at that time probably were not with smiles. Because if you look at a lot of old photos, you hardly see any of them smiling.
Okay.
And I don't know if it was a picture or a drawing, but most of the times it was a picture.
Yeah, these are photographs.
Yeah, I guess at the time you didn't smile, and there wasn't much to smile about back then for African Americans, for Black people.
Okay. Okay.
So and she really did a tremendous service to African, Black people at the time, just risking her life to go back and save them from that oppression of slavery. And most of the people in the beginning, I think, were her family members. If you watch the movie, they were her family members that she went back to get, and then it kind of grew. The word spread, and a lot more people were traveling back and forth, back, with her. But at first, she went back for her family.
Okay, well, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing, though, I was recently in New Hampshire looking at a house, and the gentleman who had restored the house said, "I want to show you something." And I said, "Okay." And he brought me into this room, and it had a secret door going down into a solitary room, and there was no other access to the room. And he said this house was part of the Underground Railroad. And I was like, wow, that's just like so unbelievable.
Yeah. And you also had Madam C.J. Walker in the video too, the first Black millionaire.
No, first woman
millionaire. Yes, first woman millionaire, and she sold hair products. That's how she obtained her wealth. And if you watch the movie on Netflix, Madam C.J. Walker, she had a quote unquote formula for hair grease. And at the time, Black women were not, they didn't have access to beauty products. So their hair was always dry and brittle and all that stuff. So she came up with her, you could say she's probably the first Avon lady for Blacks, because she built an empire having a lot of sales women go out and sell her products. So that's how her enterprise grew, because she would employ Black women to all over the world to go out and sell her products to other Black people.
So she, I love the photograph of her driving herself in that beautiful car.
Yes.
Woo!
There are a lot of firsts. There were a lot of firsts. There were a lot of brave women. And that's what I really attribute to, because in those times, to step out of your lane and to be an entrepreneur and to be a trailblazer and to, just do tremendous things that you were not supposed to, or could have gotten killed for doing, or so many things could have happened, but they forged their way, they forged the path. And it's tremendous that they could be remembered today, during a time where we don't celebrate Black history enough. We don't celebrate women's history enough. And, they always say, February is Black History Month, and everyone gets all excited, but Black people don't get excited about Black History Month, because we think it should be every month. We think our ancestry and our pioneers and the people who forged the way for us to be free should have been taught, should have been celebrated, should have been honored a long time ago. And it's unfortunate because, prior to having this conversation with you about Black History Month and women in history, I told you, Don, I don't know how much I could contribute to this conversation, because I didn't grow up. We weren't taught in the school system about positive Black history.
Right.
And especially women.
Right.
Especially women.
Right. And that's where I wanted to focus tonight.
Yes.
A lot of people know Martin Luther King.
Right.
Megan Edgars, there's lots of really fabulous, President Obama, lots of historic Black men.
Yes.
And we know their stories, but we don't know Bessie Coleman's story.
Right.
You know, we don't. I mean, I think that we should hear these stories. And you're absolutely right, Dania, that Black history. There shouldn't have to be a Black History Month. It should be every. You know, it's part of our
Correct.
history, and when we don't celebrate all of our history, then we lose out. Everyone loses.
Definitely, especially young Black children, female, women, girls. They don't see themselves represented in history in terms of being inventors and entrepreneurs and vice presidents. We wanted to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So their level of hope in who they're watching is you know, there's no one like them. There's no one that resembles them. And for you not to teach a young girl about her history in terms of her women with her skin color that have forged a way and have been so phenomenal in so many things, they lose a sense of self. They lose a part of themselves, and they see life as just always either behind a man or behind white women or behind white men. You know, it's really a struggle for them to see success when you don't have good role models that are celebrated.
Right. And that's the key. There are good role models, but we don't know who they are.
Right.
So we're going to take this little slideshow and we're going to embed this in our Facebook page. And we would like people, you know, women of color, share it with your children.
Yes.
Talk about these wonderful Black women. And you know what? Our white friends, let's talk about these wonderful Black women too. But, you know, we're going to embed it, and I'm going to make it bigger because, you know, and here's this. I had so many women to choose from. I was like, holy cow.
I know.
You know, because I grew up admiring Shirley Chisholm. You know, I thought she was amazing.
Yes.
And I was so proud of her when she ran for president.
Yes.
And what a remarkable woman she was. I mean, every one of these women that I picked, so I was really selfish, and I picked women that the women I wanted to know.
Right.
But there were so many more, including our current vice president.
Yes.
I didn't talk about her, but, you know, she's the current role model for women, all women. You know, holy crap, we broke a big glass ceiling there. And for children of color, you know, really, how amazing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be, I mean, today, you know, and a lot of the women, like there's a wonderful poet in there. And she was, imagine this young girl, she was 7 or 8 years old, and she was taken from her family and became enslaved. And she lived with the Wheatleys, and she became the most celebrated young Black poet of her time. And I'm like, wow, you know, for her to, I don't even have words for her experience. Or Maya Angelou. You know, I mean, they now see, for me, they roll off my tongue.
Right. Well, we have to get to a point where it rolls off of a lot of people's tongues, especially, like I said, young Black girls, you know, and it has to start in the school system. There's too much rich history to be celebrated.
But it's important for young Black men to see this, boys too, to think, whoa, these women are important. I think that's important too. It gives a level of respect of that. Like, look what these women did. You know, I mean, they're pretty cool.
Right.
You know, so I think it's really important. And it's important for, because whenever you see one of these women and what they accomplished, it's miraculous they accomplished it. And you say, they stepped out of their lane. They didn't step. They flew out of their lane. I mean, they were,
right.
You know, this was the accomplishments they had were not minor.
And a lot of their visions and inventions were stolen and camouflaged as, you know, coming from a white man.
Of course.
You know, and that's another part of the history that we don't hear either. A lot of these inventions, and even for black men, a lot of things that were invented and discovered, and a lot of the visions that they had were stolen and covered up and given to the white man. So we have to unearth and uncover all this, you know. I you know, in preparation for our talk, I kind of Googled some more, and Peggy Alexander and Diane Nash were two civil rights activists who participated at the lunch counter sitting during the civil rights movement, you know. And of course, you mentioned Maya Angelou, and Ella Baker was a civil rights activist who founded the Student of Nonviolent Coordination Committee. You know, there's just so many more.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and
That's
you know, you hear a lot about them during Black History Month, because I think people are taking it upon themselves to, at this time, share this history that hasn't been talked about, and they take the opportunity to share it. And I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook where people are talking about different people, different African Americans who were entrepreneurs, discovered things, invented things, just were a rich part of our history, whether it was the civil rights. And they take that opportunity to let everyone know that these people existed, and what a phenomenal, you know, some phenomenal things that they did for Blacks, and even just America in general. I want that all the time. How can we get this to be consistent? And in the classroom, this is where it starts, because we talk about the mothers being the first educators of our children, you know.
That's
and it takes a village, not only the mothers, but when they leave their home and they go into the schools, this has to be fortified. This has to be spoken about. This has to be taught, you know. And we do ourselves a disservice if we're not having these conversations. We're not teaching our children about these phenomenal Black women.
That's right. In particular, you know, Black women, because I think that, you know, what do we hear? We hear nothing. And you're right. So for us, our step is that we're celebrating these wonderful women, and we're going to embed it on our Facebook page, and we're going to keep adding to it. You know, and if anyone wants to put on Facebook their favorite historic Black women, we'll add. We'll keep adding. So give us your feedback, and we're on it, because you know, we're committed to this. And how do we stop racism? By continuing the education and understanding.
That's right.
That we you know, in discovery and celebration of diversity. And oh my goodness, there's just so much to be said here.
So much to be said, so much to be rediscovered, you know, for lack of a better term. You know, just so much there's so much history in America that has not been told. That's just beautiful history, phenomenal history, phenomenal people. And for it to be covered up, 75% of it to be covered up, to just make it seem like it was only one race that is just utterly disgusting. You know, there's just so much to be told, you know. And who's going to do it? Who's going to take up the mantle and say, we're picking up the mantle. We're picking it up. I need the legislators.
That's right.
Educators, mothers. Yes, mothers. I mean, share books. Share books with your children that talk about, you know, Black history.
Maybe we should putting a book together that should be handed out in schools, or to at least our children, about historic Black women.
There are a lot of authors out there that have those books. Those books need to be shared. Those books need to be in the kindergarten library.
So if that's, see now, Dania, I wasn't aware of that. So maybe what we should be putting on our Facebook page, here is a selection of books that you might want to share with your children.
Yes.
You know, and if that's out there, then fantastic.
Right.
You know, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
You know, the more our children experience. Where was it that we just had this discussion? I think it was our last guest, maybe. No, guest before that. We were talking about that they were. I know, it was the one before who's our
Naomi Thompson.
Yes. Naomi was talking about when her son and his little friend, who was, you know, Black and white children, and they said, "Oh, can I not play with him?"
Yes. Her son was 3 years old.
Yeah.
And she read a story to her son about, I think it was Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
And after she read the story, he turned to mom and said, "Well, does that mean I can't play with Zach anymore?" Because I guess Zach was his white friend, you know.
Yeah.
And
right.
Yeah.
But those stories need to be told. And, you know, behind, you know, for instance, even Martin Luther King, you know, let's look at him. His wife was amazing.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. She held it all together. So he might have been out there in the forefront, but someone was keeping everything else going.
But that's a Black woman. We have been keeping it going.
Right.
Behind the scenes, taking the pain, taking the brutality of watching our men lynched and killed and murdered and incarcerated, and being the strong backbone of our families, raising our children alone, working. I mean, Black women are strong, strong women, and that too needs to be celebrated.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. So, some other interesting Black women that I was looking at, and I didn't mention in the slideshow, but I guess I'm going to have to go back and keep adding.
Right.
Because, let's talk about, let's see. Okay, we already talked about our new vice president.
Yes.
So I think that's a given. That's a big glass ceiling she smashed. Okay, that's a given. But there was some, how about even the Williams sisters?
Yes.
They revolutionized tennis.
Yes.
I mean, they took it to another level.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating big, Black, beautiful bodies that were strong and powerful. And the serves Venus Williams did, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, just think about that. Or, let's think about what other women was I looking at today? Jackie, I'm going to say her last name wrong. FloJo's sister-in-law. Cursor.
Oh, yeah, I know who. Yes. Yep. Jackie Joyner Kersee.
You got it.
Yes.
Come on. The best, one of the best Olympians are,
yes.
Or how about one of the very first runners in the Olympics, a Black woman, Wilma?
Yes.
She
was it Randolph? Wilma Randolph?
Yes.
See, I know something about this, huh? I thought I'd be lost in this conversation because I wasn't educated enough on these women. No. But that's a good sign, because as a child, I've heard about these women, and I remember them because they were obviously during my time growing up, and to see them on the Olympic stage, to see them in so many places, I remember the name and the impact. How about the impact it made on me in my life, to just recognize the names and spit it off, off my tongue so easily, just because they were so impactful to see.
Right. So I remember when FloJo was running in the Olympics, I remember I was probably about 25 years old. And I just remember those long, beautiful fingernails and her the beautiful outfit she had on when she was running. And I was in love.
Right. That's right.
I thought she was great.
How about Michelle Obama?
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Michelle Obama.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's a powerful woman who, doesn't relish maybe the spotlight, but boy, it was thrust upon her, and she ran with it.
She did. And she did it with style and grace.
Yes, she did.
And it was very classy with everything she did. And she knew her responsibility at the time. She knew the platform that she had and how important it was to young girls, young women of color. And, you can't afford to make a mistake when you're Black. You don't get a second chance. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. And knowing that, and knowing how unfair it may be, she had to tread lightly, but she did it with grace and style,
Yep. So
everyone was looking for the misstep. Everyone was looking for a misstep, but she held it together, she held it together.
Everyone is looking at our vice president right now too.
Yes.
And what I've been really pleased with so far is that every time I see Joe Biden, she's right there.
Yes.
She's right there. And and hats off to both of them, because I feel like I feel like she's the heir apparent, and that, she's going to gain a tremendous amount of experience. She's there for, he said she's going to be the first person in the room and the last person in the room. And so for him to give her so much power, which, it's just, it's only a good thing.
Right. And I think, honestly, it was a lot of Black people voted for him because she was on the ticket, so, he owes it to the Black community, one, for getting him elected, but two, he's got a responsibility to make sure their voices continue to be heard. So to put her aside and not have her involved in so many decisions and whatever's going on would be a travesty to him, because he ran on the platform saying that he would hear.
Right. So, and when I see, and for me, when I'm seeing her, I'm carefully listening to her, because I believe you're seeing the next president.
Yes.
Or at least, at the very least, I believe you're seeing someone who will be running for president. And, and I'm quite hopeful. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important. Yes. What we're in a historic time.
Right.
For certain. But so what do you think about my astronaut there?
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, she was. Boy, can you imagine being the first, Black female astronaut? Imagine that. That's a woohoo. That's an adrenaline rush. And she's gone on to do so many fun things, and she's just a woman of grace. And I really like her too. And the other woman I was so crazy about was I was crazy about all of them. But, I think I keep going back to her. Bessie Coleman, that pilot. Yes. My God. Look at her. And she was not only the first Black woman pilot, licensed pilot, she was the first Black person pilot.
Wow.
Not from male or female. She had it.
Yeah, you sent me 3 edits of the video, so I'm sure you were excited about a lot of them. I'm sure you're excited about a lot.
But you know what? I'm a little bit of a history buff.
Yes.
I guess you found that out, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And but I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But there were just, I think that we all have most of us have computers. We've got a cell phone. Do some Googling, and see what great people are out there.
Yes.
And
get that information and educational platform in the schools, please. Share those books that are out there written by Black authors about, all these women that we spoke about, and just it's so very important for these Black girls to identify with women of success that are the same color and complexion.
Yeah,
it's so very important. So. We'll continue to push the needle, but it was really fun to celebrate Black History Month and Women in History Month with you in this episode, and very proud of your skills, your video skills. I must commend you on that.
Thank you. I know you're shocked as can be, but that's okay. But I really and we're gonna be sharing another video soon, another slideshow soon that is going to be a little bit more solemn. In fact, really solemn. But this, for us, putting this information out there, please share it. Share it.
I'm actually going to play it again before we take off. Okay. Yeah, because I think it's worth. Now that we have had the conversation, I think people will look at it a lot more in depth and really pay attention to the text and everything that comes with the pictures. So and please, if anyone has anyone they want us to add to our slideshow, I'm all about it. So send us the information. Great.
Okay. Anyway,
all right, Donna, take care. We'll talk soon. Let me play that again for us.
Okay.